Welcome to episode 97 of Dimes on Duval. This is Mike Yazji joining you tonight. It is just going to be me tonight as Keith and Skylar were unable to record tonight, and as promised, we will be recording episodes every week after a Jaguars game. Jaguars were in London this past week, and they came out victorious. Can't be mad. Very well done by the offense. Great performance by the defense. If you told me before the season that the Jaguars would be 3-2, I'd say sign me up, expecting that the two losses would be against Buffalo and Kansas City. Now, the Jaguars beat Buffalo, so I'm definitely ecstatic with the fact that they were 3-2. It was a statement win. Trevor Lawrence, and I've seen this already on multiple social media outlets or multiple articles. Trevor Lawrence, and I agree with them, had his best regular season game of his entire career as a Jacksonville Jaguar within the regular season, I should clarify. What I mean by that is the offense has looked very pedestrian at first through the first 4 games of the year. You go back to last week against the Falcons. We didn't look that great. The defense absolutely stepped up with 2 turnovers, 1 pick six, and that was honestly what they needed against the Falcons. Last week also, Trevor Lawrence had 1 touchdown. He got sacked twice, threw 30 times. Just an average day, I felt like, at the office for Trevor Lawrence. 2 weeks ago against the Texans, I don't want to talk about it because that was a complete disaster. Against the Chiefs, we only put up 9 points. We went in the red zone. We couldn't score a touchdown. Not that great. And week 1 against the Colts, Trevor did not look that great. He threw a pick. It just did not look good to me. He looked like it was the first game after a long offseason. Fine. This past Sunday, Trevor Lawrence completely looked... He was dealing. Now, he did have 2 fumbles. However, I think he should get some blame for the second one. When he was running out of the pocket, just hang on to the ball, put both hands on it. It happens. Trevor Lawrence finished the day 25 of 37 for 315 and 1 touchdown pass. He made some throws that were franchise quarterback-esque. The throw to Calvin Ridley on the right hand in the fourth quarter, going down the right sideline, when he threw it that pretty much a fade, it looked like a fade, to Calvin Ridley, which then led to the game-winning Travis Etienne run, was a picture-perfect throw. He was pressured on 22 dropbacks. This is per Mike Duraco on Twitter, or X. He was pressured on 22 dropbacks. He had 5 sacks taken. He lost 2 of those fumbles. But when he was not sacked, he had one of his best games of his career, 10 of 13 for 145 and a touchdown. The offense needed a spark like this, and it showed. And it came from Trevor Lawrence and the MVP of the game, Travis Etienne, which I'll touch on him in a second. But I think Trevor Lawrence, this is the type of performance that can help build a quarterback's confidence and also build the offense's confidence, because as I mentioned earlier, there has been games that they've not looked that great. We're waiting for that offense to click. We've got so many passing weapons that can be utilized, and I think this is the first game that we've seen the ball spread around pretty evenly and everyone got their share. For example, in this game against the Bills, Ridley had 7 catches on 8 targets for 122. Christian Kirk, 6 catches on 8 targets for 78. Travis Etienne, 4 catches out of 5 targets for 48 out of the backfield. Zay Jones, he did come back in his first game, but he had a re-aggravation of the injury. 3 catches on 5 targets for 23 yards and that 1 touchdown. Evan Ingram had 4 catches on 8 targets for 28 yards. If this is how the offense is going to look, sign me up, because the ball was spread around amongst those 5 players, and those are your 5 best players on your offense. Notice how the Jaguars did not throw it to Jamal Agnew or did not force him to get the ball. You don't need to force it when you have better receivers. Now, Travis Etienne, speaking of him, he did have 24 carries for 26 carries for 136 and 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown at the end of the game. Travis Etienne had one of those games that you want to see, because then it allows the defense to fear the run, which then will potentially open up a play action pass, which will then allow you to potentially take a deep shot. There are multiple deep shots I really liked seeing from Trevor Lawrence, and Travis Etienne looks good. He unfortunately had to play himself in fantasy football, as many people saw that on Twitter, but he really had a new career high in scrimmage yards, totaling 180. I think this offensive unit is about to take off. We have the Colts in this upcoming Sunday. Then we have the Saints on Thursday night. We can get a little bit of a win streak going. Then we go into the bye week. These next two opponents are not the greatest in terms of offensive scoring. Now, what I'm really concerned about is the offensive line. The offensive line took a beating by A.J. Epinesa. Granted, I think they may have been worried about Von Miller coming back because it was his first game back as well from an offseason injury. But A.J. Epinesa torched Cam Robinson multiple times. Got past him. Cam Robinson, Walker Little, Luke Fortner, Brandon Sheriff, and Anton Harrison are your best 5 offensive linemen. Losing Walker Little is going to impact the Jaguars. He was sacked. Trevor Lawrence was sacked 5 times Sunday morning, and he fumbled twice. That's going to be a problem if we cannot get it going, especially when we have the Saints defensive line, who is scary. They got after Mac Jones Sunday afternoon. We also played the San Francisco 49ers in 4 weeks. We play them in a month. As you may all have seen, they just absolutely embarrassed the Dallas Cowboys on national television on Sunday night. The offensive line is still a concern, and I don't know what they're going to do to fix it. So they need to have adjustments, maybe have an extra blocker. Have a extra tight end to block, which means you take off a receiver from the formation. I don't know what they're going to do. So that's something I'm very interested to see how they rebound this week, especially if Walker Little does miss some time going forward. On the other side of the ball, the defense played absolutely lights out. Now, whoever's not watching the game can look at the stats. Oh, Josh Allen torched him. I mean, yeah, he did, but think about it. A majority of those yards came in the fourth quarter. Actually, I'd say like a good chunk of more than 50% came in the fourth quarter. Yeah, because they had 2 75-yard drives in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go. They completely shut down the running game. Their leading rusher, the Bills' leading rusher, was Josh Allen for 14 yards. James Cook had 5 for -4. Latavius Murray 2 for 6. Damian Harris 3 for 13. Josh Allen 4 for 14. They completely shut down the rushing game. The defense played lights out, and you can't even be mad about the defense. Sure, they had some busted plays, but also they may have gotten lucky with some incompletions, or with some drops, I guess. What I liked about the defense is that the offense of the Jaguars kept the Bills' offense off the field. Now, I'm looking right now to see if I can find a time of possession chart. I don't know if I can find that, but I really did believe that they played a really good game. The Jaguars offense kept the Jaguars defense on the field, kept them well rested, because they were going to need it against Josh Allen and company. They did their job. So I was able to find the time of possession stat. The Jaguars held the ball for 38 minutes and 12 seconds. The Bills had the ball for 21 minutes and 48 seconds. The Jaguars honestly dominated this game in terms of time of possession. The rushing yards completely dominated it. And honestly, I think Trevor Lawrence looked better than Josh Allen at some points. Now, Josh Allen definitely threw for more yards, but he also threw for more passes and threw for more touchdowns, which is fine. But this is a big win for the Jaguars. This will matter when it comes to the end of the season if the Jaguars are in contention for one of the top 4 seeds in the AFC. The Jaguars now have the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Bills, and I know they have the tiebreaker loss to the Chiefs. This win also, coupled with the Colts' victory over the Titans, and the Texans lost to the Falcons, the Jaguars are right now first place in the AFC South. If we win on Sunday, and we play the Colts on Sunday, if we beat them, we will be 4-2 with at least one game up on everyone. Potentially two. Houston, I believe... Houston does play the New Orleans Saints. So that's something to worry about because Houston obviously has the head-to-head over us. So that's something I want to bring to everyone's attention. Jaguars could be potentially 2 games up on the division in a way, especially if you beat the Colts, because that means you are 2 games technically up on the Colts, even though you're only 1 win over them. So that's something to really, if you're going to the game on Sunday, I will not be there. I'll be visiting my fiance. If you are going to the game, you better be loud because the weather is looking gorgeous right now in Jacksonville. We are in the 60s right now. It is no longer in the 80s and 90s. Like I'm looking right now, Sunday's weather is a low of 63 and a high of 76. Y'all better show up to this game on Sunday because we have not won in Jacksonville yet. Yes, we technically won the home game against the Falcons, but that was in London. We need to show up on Sunday. If the Jaguars somehow blow the game against the Colts, we got big problems. We can't win at home, which is where teams should win. I think the Jaguars, this is the type of game that helps propel them to the next step. Maybe they can get a run going. If the Jaguars can get a run going, look out for this team because they are looking good. So, I'm just going to say that. We got the Colts, Saints, Steelers as our next 3 games. All 3 are winnable games. And also, big news for this Sunday. Anthony Richardson for the Colts is out for Sunday against the Jaguars, which means Gardner Minshew will be coming back to Jacksonville as a starter. So, he might have some motives on his mind to beat the team that let him go in favor of Trevor Lawrence. So, I'm just saying, go Jags. And I do hope everyone shows up on Sunday and yells out the loudest Duval that gets into the defenders' heads. Flipping sides and going to the amateurs, let's go ahead and talk about the Noles against the Virginia Tech Hokies on Saturday. But before I go into that, I want to talk about Nerdy Nuts. Nerdy Nuts is a sponsor of our podcast, and they just released some new flavors. They actually released a lot of flavors. They have released the Night Prowler Peanut Butter Treat. They have released Sista's Sugar Cookie Peanut Butter Treat, which the Night Prowler Peanut Butter is a dark chocolate peanut butter blended with brownie bites, layered on black cherry sauce, topped with cherry frosting and dried Bing cherries. Looks good. I'm not a biggest fan of dark chocolate, but whoever is can go ahead and order it. As I said, the Sista's Sugar Cookie Peanut Butter Treat. Also, all these are related to Halloween flavors as it is the Halloween month. The Sista's Sugar Cookie Peanut Butter Treat is a vanilla peanut butter blended with sugar cookies topped with red almond flavored frosting, sugar cookie pieces, and Sanderson approved sprinkles. Sure, but if you like sprinkles and peanut butter and sugar cookies, this is the one for you. Also, I'll go over some more flavors later on in the episode because they released actually quite a bit. I did not realize they released 6 or 7 flavors, so I'll go over those later on in the episode. The Noles had a victory over the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now, Keith did provide for me a note about the Seminoles. He says, quote, Bobby Bowden would be disappointed with this team. Yes, we are undefeated, but we should have hung 50 at least. Southern Miss should have been the same. Well, Keith, we put 66 on Southern Miss, but if we want the respect these other teams get, we need to blow out the bad teams, plain and simple. So, I'm going to go ahead and disagree with Keith a little bit. Florida State's getting the respect they deserve. They're currently the 4th-ranked team in the AP Top 25. Now, granted, that is because Texas did lose this past Saturday to Oklahoma. Hook down, or whatever they call them, hook 'em horns. Yeah, that's Texas is toast. Florida State, yes, they looked a little shaky at times Saturday. But honestly, the officiating was god-awful. I rewatched the game. The officiating was horrible. They never called anything in favor of Florida State, and I don't know if it has something to do with the ACC officiating being just going after Florida State because Florida State has made it very clear they want to leave the ACC. I don't know. Jordan Travis, also, by the way, you can kiss those Heisman hopes goodbye. It's 5 games in the year. He has not really showed anything for me to indicate that he's a Heisman Trophy winner. I think that's going to go to someone in the Pac-12. Florida State, they won 39-17, if I did not mention it already, beating Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech did not look that great. They're one of the worst teams in the ACC. They did cover the spread, unfortunately, for any Florida State bettors. But Florida State, I think, was fine. They still can't stop running quarterbacks. I don't know what it is. What really was depressing was the fact that the opening kickoff of the second half was returned back for a touchdown. The special teams got blown apart there, and they need to figure that out. But then luckily for Florida State, the next ensuing drive, Trey Benson ran it for a 62-yard touchdown and just took care of business, and they never let up at that point. And Trey Benson also had an 85-yard touchdown at the end of the game to seal the game for the Noles. The Noles do have Syracuse coming into town on Saturday, October 14th. And then it was just announced that the Duke Blue Devils, the week after on October 21st, will be playing the Seminoles in prime time in Doak Campbell Stadium about 7:30 or 8 p.m. on that Saturday. So, good win for the Noles. Noles move up in the rankings, and I think they'll continue to move up. Actually, they might move down next week because Washington and Oregon play each other this upcoming week on Saturday, October 14th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Washington plays host to Oregon. This game is honestly a matchup of a potential Pac-12 rematch for a Pac-12 championship match. And also, honestly, I think the winner of the Pac-12 comes from this matchup. Now, Florida. Congratulations, you guys beat Vanderbilt. You should have beat Vanderbilt after getting actually throttled by Kentucky the week before. You did the exact opposite to Vanderbilt. Congratulations. Now, I will say this. Graham Mertz did look good, throwing for 254, 3 touchdowns. He did get sacked 3 times. Now, I didn't watch the game. Full transparency. I'm just looking at the stats. Florida looked good. They got a running game going, 135 for Montrell Johnson. Boardingham was their leading receiver, receiver. He was tight end, 99 yards. Ricky Pearsall had a quiet day, 4 for 34 against Vanderbilt. I mean, I don't have much to say about the Gators. I know that they're still fighting they're right now at 4 wins. They got the South Carolina Gamecocks on the road. They're heading to South Carolina at Williams-Brice Stadium. South Carolina is currently the favorite against those Gators. And I think South Carolina will pull away from the Gators there because there's just something about South Carolina that has been a thorn in the Gators' side. The implied score is 24.5. I think South Carolina will beat the Gators on Saturday because I think the Gators are going to they might hit a losing streak here. They got South Carolina, and then they got a bye week, and then they got Georgia. So, good for them. They will be probably 0-2 the next 2 games. Then they got Arkansas, and then LSU, who might allow 45 to the Gators, just because LSU has no defense. Gators are still flirting with the possible bowl eligibility. They may miss a bowl. We'll see. I think they're looking good now, but I think their luck will run out here soon enough. Now, as you know, this may have been just a little off with the Gators, but I want to talk about. I've been looking forward to this conversation regarding the Miami Hurricanes and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Now, if you don't know what happened on Saturday night, you may have been asleep because it was around like 11:30 Eastern time when the Miami Hurricanes they had stopped the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. They were driving. Don't know what it was. I don't understand. There was 41 seconds left. 3rd and 10 on Georgia Tech's 30-yard line. Georgia Tech had no timeouts, mind you. Miami runs the ball. So, in this case, just as a heads up, Mario Cristobal is known as one of the worst in-game coaching managers. I don't even know in-game time management coaches in college football. You were up, 4 points? They were up 20-17. 20-17 with 41 seconds left. The play clock in itself was at 30 seconds. You could have taken a knee, won the game over, move on. But no. Mario Cristobal decided to run the ball. The running back fumbled, which, by the way, per video evidence, it looked like he did not fumble. It looked like his arm was down. But you know what? The football gods were telling Miami, you deserve to lose this game, so we're going to have this stand. The running back fumbled. Georgia Tech picks it up. 2-3 plays later, they're about to score. They're driving with like 30 seconds left, no timeouts. The quarterback for Georgia Tech, Haynes King, throws a bomb to, let me get his name before. I want to give him credit for absolutely doing what he did to Miami. His name is Christian Leary. He threw a bomb, 44 yards, to Christian Leary. And Christian Leary caught it around the 5-yard line and just ran it in. That was Christian Leary's first catch of the game. And Georgia Tech wins the game on that play. Absolutely incredible. That was... Miami fans can't even fire him. Or I'm sorry, Miami can't fire him because they paid him 10 years, $80 million. So they're stuck with him. And the fact that Miami Hurricanes fans were throwing bottles on the field after that decision, it was glorious. Miami, if you were awake on Saturday night and you saw Twitter absolutely melt down, it was a wonderful sight to see. If you want to see all the retweets I did, just go on my page, at Mike_YazG94. I absolutely shredded Miami. And also on top of that, I placed a live wager on Georgia Tech money line during the second quarter when it was 0-0. Miami is a fraudulent program, and many Miami stans are saying that's the worst loss in program history. That is one of the worst decisions in program history. That is a decision that can alter your program for years to come. Florida State had the Jacksonville State loss. Yes, that happened under Mike Norvell. Florida had the Georgia Southern loss, where Georgia Southern didn't even throw for 1 yard, and they beat the Gators. Miami lost to Georgia Tech based on a idiotic decision not to take a knee and win the game. There was a video of the poor offensive lineman saying, "Why are we running the ball?" It looks like he's about to cry. I feel bad for the kid, but I don't feel bad for Miami fans, and I definitely don't feel bad for Mario Cristobal. You guys have hired a incompetent head coach, and I am enjoying this because, oh my gosh, cannot wait to see what happens in a month when the Hurricanes come to Tallahassee and see what else he can do to fuck it up for the Hurricanes. I'm sorry, that was hilarious, and I was texting Keith on Saturday. I got a new phone, and I tried to get the Dimes on Duval Twitter password because I was literally going to roast them on the account. Luckily, Keith was asleep. He did not. I would have gotten blocked by many people, I'm sure. But I'm sorry. This is hilarious. I had to bring it up here. Miami fans, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. You guys deserve all the sorrow in your life. Rooting for a poverty program and the most fraudulent head coach in probably college football history. No, I'm kidding. That's Willie Taggart. But still, yeah, that was rough. So just one last thing I want to say. Thank you guys for listening to me. Just ramble on for about 25 minutes or so. Definitely the first time I've done a solo episode, I think, ever. I can't remember the last time I did a solo episode, so this definitely is a learning experience. So if the audio sucked, I apologize. Just the first time I'm doing it on my microphone and also on my computer. But like I said, I want to go over the Nerdy Nuts flavors real quick. They released, like I said, multiple flavors. Witch's Brew Peanut Butter Treat, which is a mixture of white and milk chocolate layered with Heath Toffee Bits, Butterfingers, and Reese's Pieces. Then they smothered it with Ghirardelli caramel sauce and Halloween sprinkles. Now, there's other flavors. They have Vampire Kisses Peanut Butter Treat, Sinister Crunch Peanut Butter Treat, which is also cinnamon. That's what they're trying to go for. Halloween or chocolate birthday cake. So definitely multiple flavors you can go in. I don't want to go in depth about all the flavors, but there's definitely a bunch of flavors for Nerdy Nuts that you can use. Once again, please use the code DIMES10. We want to thank you all for supporting us with our sponsorship with Nerdy Nuts, and we would like to continue that partnership with them as we've seen multiple customers, multiple listeners as well, purchase product from Nerdy Nuts. So once again, I want to thank you guys listening for episode 97. And I know I was a little rambling there, but recording a podcast by yourself is a lot harder than I thought. So I give credit to all the people I listen to podcast-wise, solo or team, because it's definitely not easy. So once again, this is episode 97 on Dimes on Duval. I want to thank you all for listening. And once again, go Jags. Sorry, Miami. And we'll talk to you next week. Same time, probably Monday, after hopefully another Jags win.